In the latest What If Season 2 Episode 7, we see Hela getting a total revamp in the MCU. Kate Blanchett is back, but this time she's lending her voice to the animated series for the episode What If Hela Found the 10 Rings. Instead of the hellbound Hela we know from the main MCU, she's banished to Earth by her dad Odin. This change sets up a whole new ballgame for Hela, just like the other episodes of What If. They're mixing and matching bits from the MCU to cook up these fresh multiverse tales. This time around, they're blended parts of the first and third Thor movies with Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings. But the real deal is the end, where this earthbound Hela finds inner peace like Kung Fu Panda, learns the art of mercy, and steps up as a new kind of Asgardian goddess. So let's find out exactly how that happens. Oh, and Hela may have found a boyfriend. So that's that. Anyway, let's begin. But before we go into our explanation, we have a very small request. If you like our content, please support us by subscribing to our channel. This is a small click for you, but for us it means a lot. Thank you, and let's begin. What if Hela found the 10 rings? In this story, The Watcher takes us back to when Odin and his daughter Hela were tearing it up across the 9 realms. You know, fighting for power and control in the name of peace? That kind of stuff. Hela's got her eyes on conquering the entirety of the cosmos, but Odin's thirst for empire has already been quenched, and he tells her that they've conquered enough. He thinks her wanting more is just being greedy, but that's kind of unfair to Hela because he raised her to be his sword, his most vicious killer, and asking her to just quit fighting, she started having a serious existential crisis. She's like, what the heck am I supposed to do if I could just quit fighting? That's who I am, Dad, and that's what you made me. Now, this ain't like in Thor Ragnarok, where Odin locks Hela up. This time, he's just not cool to her being all ambitious and stuff. When she tries to use Mjolnir against him, Odin just smashes it to smithereens, something Hela did back in the day, and he takes away her powers as a timeout for her aggressive vibes. He then pulls a similar move he did with Mjolnir and Thor, putting a spell in her helmet so it gives powers to anyone who's got enough mercy in them. And he knows that his daughter doesn't know about the M in mercy, and he's sure that she never will. This helmet ends up crashing in China's mountains, right where Wenwu and his crew stumble upon it. Interestingly enough, that's also where Hela is. Hela isn't about to let Wenwu, Mr. 10 Rings and all, snatch her helmet. She orders his guys to grab it back for her. But when Wenwu does not quite like that bossy attitude of hers, I mean, you can't just jump down from space and order another leader's men to do stuff for you, so he shows her who the boss is. The two start trading sharp words in the rain. Hela's all, I'm the goddess of death, but it all falls flat. Her attempt to flex powers she doesn't have anymore just earns her a punch in the face, which quite literally added insult to injury. She then flips her own script, playing the damsel in distress to catch the guards off guard. But just as she's getting into her old school beatdown mode, Wenwu steps in and shuts her down using the 10 rings. Hela's fuming, especially when Wenwu forces her to kneel, ranting about how things would be different if she had her helmet. Wenwu, either skeptical or just flirting in a power-hungry way, lets her try to get her helmet back. But just like Thor with Mjolnir, she can't grab it. So when Wenwu takes her in, but instead of a cell, he invites her over for dinner. Seems like he's got a thing for her, even though she couldn't pull off her big revenge plot. And he even throws in a stunning new dress for the occasion, which leaves him totally speechless when she shows up in it. In fact, when Hela tells him it's nice that the color of the dress is red because his blood won't be visible when she kills him, but despite her sharp tongue, the bite in her words isn't really there. Wenwu, like a lover boy, goes, but you know, brides also wear red. Hela kind of freaks out at all these not-so-subtle attempts at flirting. Hela's caught off guard when Wenwu clarifies he's not talking about marriage, just an alliance. Though, let's be real, it sounds pretty much the same. Hela was not thrilled. She'd heard this tune before. Odin saw her fight spirit and used it, then kicked her out when it suited him. Wenwu's like, I'm not your dad, and the way he's looking at her, yeah, it's got a different vibe. He gives her the grand tour of his place, saying he uses the 10 rings to fend off threats to the world. Hela figures she's on that threat list, but instead Wenwu gently takes her hand, getting a surprised reaction from her. He's all about teaming up to protect the world, even goes for a tender cheek caress and leans in close, making it feel like we're about to dive into a romance novel. But then, classic Hela, she fakes him out and slams his head on the table. So much for crossing into the romance territory in this genre, but come on, being a mere mortal, you can't just attempt to kiss the goddess of death so easily. The ruckus from Hela's table slamming gets the guards running in. She's about to swipe Wenwu's 10 rings, but has to bolt instead. Wenwu, surprisingly chill, just tells them to bring her back alive. Guess a headbanging isn't a deal breaker for him. Hela's making a break for it across rooftops, gaining some ground until some dodgy tiles send her crashing into an empty room. She's not alone though. There's this cute Dijang Morris from Shang-Chi who tells her that he has got an escape route. They make a grand exit on horseback, disappearing into the night. Hela's thinking of a Norse country road trip, but Morris suggests a closer spot for allies. He leads her to Tao Lo with its magical bamboo forest that parts for her, only to try trapping her right after. Now that's one dodgy enchanted murder forest. Hela books it through, dodging tree traps, and ends up on Tao Lo's doorstep. She's barely got a moment before this plant magic wielding woman attacks her. Next thing she knows, Hela's waking up to an audience of villagers. The woman Jia Yi fills her in. They're Earth's line of defense against the underworld bad guys. Hela surprised Earth still has magic users. Hela tells Jia Yi that she is not here to stir up trouble and is just looking to settle some scores with Wenwu, Odin, and his new flame Frigga. If Talo's not down to help, she's totally up for recruiting some underworld heavy hitters. Jia Yi hits Hela with the whole fight darkness with light thing. Hela, always looking for an angle, asks Jia Yi to teach her the light side tricks. She figures, who's better to fight against underworld bad guys than the goddess of death, right? The Talo folks are raising eyebrows, but Jia Yi plays it cool and even casually brings up a flying dragon as a sort of friendly warning. Meanwhile, back in Asgard, Heimdall breaks the news to Odin that Hela's off his radar. Odin's first thought is she dead? Heimdall drops the info about Wenwu's 10 rings and mentions that they're so powerful they could kill a god. Odin, conveniently forgetting he turned Hela into a regular mortal, is suddenly all about stopping the 10 rings guy. This guy is pretty entitled. His first thought after hearing about the 10 rings is that mere mortals of Midgard should not possess such power as they're not fit to wield it. I mean, bro, calm down for a moment. So it feels more like he's worried about a new power player on the block than about his daughter, doesn't it? In Tao Lo, Jia Yi's approach to training Hela is less about cool and killer moves and more about the Zen life. She takes Hela to this rocky spot and goes, just sit and work on breathing. Hela was thinking she'd be throwing around flaming knives or something, but nope, she's stuck with tasks that seem way too chill for her taste, like origami and doing laundry. I'm not even kidding, but I guess laundry is an important part of the whole martial arts thing. Remember Jackie Chan doing the same with Jaden Smith in The Karate Kid? Anyway, Hela is not really a young kid, and all of this is driving her up the wall. Jia Yi keeps pressing her, wanting to know why Hela's so into the whole fight and conquer business. What's the endgame with all the chaos and destruction? She digs deep into Hela's psyche until Hela recalls this childhood memory where Odin took her beloved dog, chaining it up to keep it under control, an act pretty much like what he did to Hela with her helmet. Hela's lightbulb moment at Tao Lo is realizing she is not after more wins or payback. She just wants the freedom to call her own shots, not the life Odin boxed her into. Now it sorts of reminds me of what Mance Rayder once said in Game of Thrones. The freedom to make my own mistakes, that's all I ever wanted. Anyway, Jia Yi, seeing Hela's new mindset, tells Hela that now she was ready to really learn the real deal. Training's cruising along until Odin's grand entrance lights up the sky. Hela gears up, determined not to let her dad bully others under her name, especially over those 10 rings. Jia Yi's straight with her. Tao Lo folks aren't fighters, so if Hela's going to fight Odin, she's on her own. Hela feels stuck on the path Odin set, so she heads back to Wenwu's, which is already a battleground. Wenwu's face lights up seeing Hela. Guess even a war zone can't dim the sparks, at least for Wenwu. They tag team against the attackers until it's just Odin left. He plays the concerned dad card, but Hela calls him out for just wanting the rings. Odin's like, humans shouldn't have them, basically admitting Hela's right. He tries to get her to help him protect Earth, but she is not gonna fall for such BS any longer. Odin doesn't take the rejection well, going all out against Hela and Wenwu, but here's where Jia Yi's lessons kick in. Hela uses light to fight back against Odin's darkness. Wenwu, though he missed the training sessions, catches on quick. Well, he's already a pro at all this, so anyway, he's all about backing up Hela's play. And let's be be honest, isn't love its own kind of lightness? Hela saves Wenwu from becoming Odin's latest firework display. She even gets her hands on those blazing knives she's been itching for. Odin tries to get his hands on the 10 rings, but ends up getting knocked down a peg and finds himself at Hela's feet. She implores him to end all this fighting. This show of mercy is the magic ticket for her helmet that Hela wasn't able to pick up earlier, which shakes off the dirt and flies back to her. Odin's fuming because Hela's not the warrior he wanted her to be anymore, but Earth's changed her. She now values life, which makes her better at her day job, which is being the goddess of death. Her armor shifts from battle red to fiery white Asgardian. Odin, maybe feeling a bit desperate, offers her the throne. Hela agrees to sit on the Iron Throne. Wait, that's the wrong throne. Anyway, she agrees to sit on the Asgardian throne, but only to fix the mess Odin has left behind in his conquest spree. Hela and Wenwu join forces, turning into a cosmic power couple. What? And spend their time freeing folks all over the universe. Sounds heavy, but they apparently squashed the whole Thanos situation, so props to them. And as for any romance between them, the Watcher didn't say it didn't happen, so let's just say they're living their best life together. So yeah, that's where the episode ends, and I'd have to admit this was one of the more entertaining episodes after the rather lukewarm third and fourth episodes. Needless to say, all these stories will culminate in the final episode. Captain Carter has already reached Earth 1602, and Kahori, Marvel's newest superhero, has also met Strange Supreme. So yeah, something big is about to go down. Stay tuned at Marvel's videos because we're gonna explore each one of the next 3 episodes as they're released. And as always, if you liked our content, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe to us if you haven't already. Have a good one and be safe. Thanks everyone.